If you've been on social media lately, you might think Thailand and Cambodia are fighting a war over culture. Who invented kickboxing? Who owns the patterns on the ancient temples? It seems like every day there's a new viral argument, a new online flame war between netizens of these two neighboring countries. But if you scratch beneath the surface of these angry tweets and Facebook comments, you find something much darker and far more complex. This isn't just about cultural pride. We're talking about accusations of vast, state-sponsored criminal empires operating along the border. Huge online scam centers, human trafficking, and illegal casinos that are allegedly protected by powerful figures. These aren't just isolated crimes. They're part of a shadowy economy that generates billions of dollars. And it gets even deeper. The conflict is also a high-stakes geopolitical proxy war, with the United States and China vying for influence in the region. Thailand and Cambodia have become pawns in a much larger game. So why are these two Buddhist neighbors who share so much history, culture, and even bloodlines constantly at each other's throats? Is it really just about a martial art or a temple? Or are these cultural battles a convenient distraction from the real issues? Issues like corruption, crime, and the struggle for power between global superpowers. Today, we're looking at the theories behind the conflict. We're moving beyond the official narratives and the social media outrage to find out what's really going on between Thailand and Cambodia. The story is more complicated than you could ever imagine. To really get what's happening today, we first have to look at what I call the official story. This is the version you'll find in history books, the one taught in schools. At its heart, the tension between these two nations is all about historical land claims and a fierce sense of national pride. Think of it like an old family feud over an inheritance, but on a national scale. The most famous and tragic example is the dispute over the Preah Vihear temple. This magnificent structure, perched on a cliff edge, became a flashpoint that led to actual military clashes and heartbreaking loss of life just over a decade ago. It's a powerful symbol of how deep these feelings run. But why does history matter so much? Because for both countries, it's not just the past. It's a political tool used in the present. In Thailand, you'll often hear narratives about the loss of territory during the colonial period, a story of a once great empire diminished by foreign powers. It's a wound to their national pride. Meanwhile, in Cambodia, there's a profound and long-standing fear, a kind of historical anxiety of being squeezed and swallowed by its much larger neighbors, Vietnam and Thailand. This isn't just paranoia. It's rooted in centuries of history. So, when a dispute erupts over a temple, a traditional dance, or even a martial art, it's never just a simple disagreement. For many people, it feels like an existential threat to their very identity, to their culture, to their right to exist. This is the layer we all see, the one played out in the media and on social media. It's emotional, it's passionate, and it gets a lot of attention. However, many analysts believe this public-facing narrative, this ghost of history, is often a convenient smokescreen. It's used to stir up nationalism and distract from other, perhaps more complicated and less flattering, issues happening behind the scenes. And that's where the story gets really interesting. This brings us to the second, and perhaps most disturbing theory, the rise of a massive criminal economy. Over the last decade, certain border regions and coastal cities have completely transformed. Just look at places like Sihanoukville. What were once quiet beach towns are now forests of casinos and high-rise buildings, many of which popped up with staggering speed. International organizations like the United Nations and various watchdog groups have been sounding the alarm. Their reports suggest that some of these areas have become major hubs for sophisticated online scam operations, often referred to as pig butchering scams. These aren't small-time operations. We're talking about industrial-scale fraud, pulling in billions of dollars. Reports frequently point to organized crime syndicates as the masterminds behind these vast networks. Here's where the tension really escalates between Thailand and Cambodia. A significant number of the victims targeted by these scams are Thai, but it goes even deeper. Thai authorities report that thousands of their own citizens have been tricked and trafficked across the border. They are lured by fake job offers promising high salaries, only to find themselves trapped in fortified compounds, forced to work as scammers under brutal conditions. Imagine being forced to defraud your own countrymen with no way out. When Thai police and diplomats demand action, requesting raids on these compounds or the extradition of their trapped citizens, The response they get is often described as slow, difficult, and complicated. There are successes, of course, with some victims being rescued in joint operations. But for every rescue, many more remain trapped, leading to immense frustration back in Thailand. This leads us to a purely economic theory, and it's a chilling one. If these gray zone industries are generating billions in revenue, it raises a difficult question. Is there a powerful financial incentive for certain influential figures to keep the border just porous enough and the regulations loose? Think about it. The money flowing through these operations is immense. For Thailand, this isn't just an economic issue. It's a national security crisis. It's watching its money and its people bleed across the border into what many describe as a lawless black hole. The human cost is staggering, and the pressure on the Thai government to stop the bleeding is immense. Now, let's zoom out from the local conflict and look at the bigger picture. This brings us to a fascinating and frankly quite scary theory. Is this whole thing actually a proxy war between two global superpowers, the United States and China? It might sound like a movie plot, but the evidence is compelling. Let's start with Thailand. Historically, Thailand has been a major ally of the United States. They're a treaty ally, which is a big deal in international relations. Every year, they host the massive Cobra Gold military exercises, one of the largest war games in the entire Indo-Pacific region, with thousands of American troops participating. While Thailand tries to play a careful balancing act, maintaining good relations with everyone, their deep, long-standing military and political ties firmly plant them as a key partner for the West in Southeast Asia. Now let's hop over to Cambodia. In recent years, Cambodia has made a dramatic pivot, moving firmly into China's orbit. China is now Cambodia's biggest foreign investor, its largest donor of aid, and its most important military partner. This relationship has become so close that it's making its neighbors, and Washington, very nervous. The biggest point of contention is the Ream Naval Base. Satellite images show massive upgrades are underway, and the United States has officially alleged that this base is being secretly redeveloped for the exclusive use of the Chinese military. Cambodia denies this, but the controversy has sent alarm bells ringing all the way to Bangkok and Washington, D.C., so let's connect the dots. Imagine you're a military strategist in Thailand. If China establishes a permanent military presence, a naval base, right on your eastern flank in Cambodia, what does that look like on a map? It looks like you're being encircled. This theory suggests that the tension between Thailand and Cambodia isn't just about ancient temples or border disputes anymore. It's about the monumental friction between America and China, the world's two biggest economies and militaries. This global rivalry is forcing smaller nations like Thailand and Cambodia into opposing corners of a geopolitical boxing ring, turning their local disagreements into a potential flashpoint for a much, much larger conflict. It's a heavy thought, and it completely changes how you see the situation on the ground. Let me know what you think about this theory in the comments below. Ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes of international politics? Sometimes the headlines we see are just the tip of the iceberg, and the real story is buried much, much deeper. Today, we're diving into a multi-billion-dollar secret hidden beneath the waves of the Gulf of Thailand. A secret that might just explain decades of political tension. Let's talk about something called the Overlapping Claims Area, or the OCA for short. Picture this, a massive patch of ocean, about 27,000 square kilometers, right between Thailand and Cambodia. Now, why is this specific patch of water so important? Well, it's not just about fishing rights. Geologists estimate that beneath the seabed of the OCA lies a treasure trove of energy, vast reserves of oil and natural gas. How much are we talking about? The current estimates put the value at a staggering 27 billion US dollars. That's billion with a B. Here's where it gets complicated. Both Thailand and Cambodia lay claim to this area. For decades, they've been locked in a stalemate, unable to agree on how to draw the maritime border or, more importantly, how to split the immense wealth that lies beneath. Think about it. Both nations have growing economies and an ever-increasing need for energy. Securing even a fraction of these reserves would be a massive boost for their energy independence and national budgets. This isn't just a political disagreement. It's an economic jackpot waiting to be claimed. So you have two countries, a shared border, and a $27 billion prize sitting right in the middle. For years, negotiations have started, stalled, and fallen apart. They can't agree on the split. Is it 50-50ths? Does one country have a more legitimate claim than the other? While the diplomats talk, the oil and gas remain untapped. This is where a more cynical, but perhaps more realistic, theory comes into play. Have you ever noticed how, every few years, tensions between the two countries seem to flare up? Maybe it's a dispute over an ancient temple on the land border, or a surge in fiery nationalist rhetoric from politicians on both sides. On the surface, these seem like separate issues rooted in history and national pride, but what if they're not separate at all? Some analysts and political theorists argue that these flare-ups are not random. They suggest that these incidents are actually strategic moves, a form of high-stakes political chess. The idea is that by creating friction and showing strength on other issues, one side can try to pressure the other into making concessions in the ASEAN negotiations. It's all about leverage. If you can make the other side look weak or put them on the defensive over a border dispute, they might be more willing to give you a better deal on the multi-billion-dollar energy reserves. It sounds calculating, but when you consider the sheer amount of money involved, it starts to make a chilling kind of sense. Friendship and neighborly relations can easily take a back seat when the prize is national energy security and $27 billion. It's a stark reminder that in geopolitics, what you see on the news is often just a shadow play, and the real game is being played for much higher stakes. What do you think? Are these border disputes genuine, or are they a smokescreen for a much bigger economic prize? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Finally, we have the nationalist distraction theory. The politics in both Thailand and Cambodia can be incredibly volatile. In Thailand, we've seen coups, massive street protests, and frequent changes in government. In Cambodia, we're witnessing a historic dynastic transition of power. If you look at history, you'll find that nothing unites a divided country faster than a common enemy. It's a classic move. Political analysts and historians often point out a suspicious pattern. These cultural tensions seem to spike at very convenient times. It's often when domestic support for the government is low, when there are economic problems, or when a big election is just around the corner. Suddenly, a minor border dispute or a debate over a traditional dance becomes a national crisis. Think about it. By pointing a finger across the border and shouting, "They are stealing our culture," or "They are disrespecting our sovereignty," leaders can tap into a powerful sense of national pride and unity. It's a way to rally people around the flag and, more importantly, around the current leadership. This tactic masterfully distracts the public from pressing internal issues like economic inequality, corruption scandals, or political infighting. It's a powerful tool for social control. It shifts the conversation from "what is our government doing wrong?" to "how can we defend our nation against them?" It's quite literally the oldest trick in the political playbook, and it works surprisingly well. This isn't to say that people's feelings of cultural pride aren't real. They absolutely are. The passion is genuine. But that genuine passion can be manipulated and weaponized by political actors for their own gain. When you see these headlines flare up, it's always worth asking, what else is happening in the country right now? What is this story distracting us from? It adds another complex layer to understanding why these cultural clashes between neighbors can become so heated, so quickly. So, while the debates over food, dance, and history are fascinating, the real story might be happening behind the scenes in the halls of power. It's a reminder that culture and politics are deeply intertwined, and sometimes a fight over a bowl of noodles is never just about the noodles. So why are Thailand and Cambodia really fighting? The truth is, it's not one single thing. It's a complicated mix of everything we've talked about. Think of it like a tangled web. You've got ancient historical wounds that still sting today, pulling at the threads of national pride. Then, you have the modern, shadowy world of criminal economics, where scam syndicates operate in the gray zones, creating friction and mistrust between the two nations. Layered on top of that, you have the massive energy reserves lying beneath the Gulf of Thailand. This isn't just about a few barrels of oil. We're talking about a resource lottery worth billions, a game changer for whichever country secures the lion's share. The discovery of these reserves has completely changed the stakes, turning a historical rivalry into a high-stakes economic showdown. It's a classic case of old grudges meeting new money, and when that happens, tensions are bound to rise. But it doesn't stop there. Zoom out, and you'll see the bigger picture, the chess moves of global superpowers. The United States and China are both vying for influence in Southeast Asia, and both Thailand and Cambodia are key players in their strategic game. Every alliance, every trade deal, every military exercise has ripple effects. Cambodia's close ties with China and Thailand's long-standing alliance with the US create a geopolitical fault line right between them. They're caught in a tug-of-war with each superpower pulling them in a different direction. Now, if you re a tourist visiting the stunning temples or an expat enjoying life in Bangkok or Phnom Penh, you probably won't feel any of this. The visuals of conflict are a world away from the everyday interactions of Thai and Cambodian people. But behind the closed doors of government buildings, for the policymakers in Bangkok and Phnom Penh, it's a completely different story. Their relationship isn't a simple friendship or rivalry. It's a delicate balancing act performed on a razor's edge. One wrong move, one miscalculation, and the whole thing could topple over. In this complex conflict, culture and history are often used as weapons, waved like flags to rally support. But the real targets, the ultimate prizes, are money and power. So what's your take on all this? What do you think is the main driver behind the tension? Is it the deep-seated history that just won't fade away? Is it the modern-day crime and scams causing chaos? Or is it the grand game being played by the superpowers? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives like this one.